Saturday mornings are supposed to be quiet in my neighborhood. Birds chirping, maybe a lawn mower somewhere in the distance, the kind of peace you only notice when it's gone. Instead, mine started with the kind of screech you only hear in nightmares, the metallic scream of my gate being torn out of the ground. Picture this: me, stumbling out the door in slippers, coffee splashing, still trying to blink the sleep out of my eyes. And there's my brand new, not cheap smart fence ripped open like it got mugged by a backhoe. And standing in the middle of this chaos? Karen, president of our illustrious HOA, arms folded, chin lifted to the sun, her face so tight it looked like she'd been sucking on lemons. She had 2 landscapers with her, yanking the rest of my posts out like weeds. Karen, I managed, what in the absolute hell are you doing? She turned, pearls gleaming, and hit me with that syrupy voice reserved for toddlers and felons. This fence violates community aesthetic standards, she said. Apparently, she told me last week it wasn't approved by the HOA board. Funny, because it's sitting 2 feet inside my property line. I even showed her the markers, the specs, the county permit. Didn't matter. Non-response isn't approval, dear. I'm simply enforcing our rules before this place looks like a tech junkyard. You ever get that feeling, like something inside you just twists? That was me, watching the fence I'd sweated over for weeks, solar posts, motion sensors, all of it, get yanked apart like garbage. Turn off the power before you rip anything else, I warned, but she just waved me off, saying the board had voted to ban electronic fences. And of course, the moment one of her guys grabbed a wire, he got a tiny zap. Nothing dangerous, just a wake-up call. But Karen spun it like I'd set booby traps for her workers. That's a safety violation. I'm calling the sheriff. And with that, she stormed off, leaving me, my coffee, and my demolished fence. By noon, a county deputy named Owen, poor guy, looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, shows up. I walk him through everything: plat maps, permits, pictures. Karen struts over with a folder of printed emails and starts waving them like she's in court. She's lying. Her fence is a hazard. Owen, to his credit, checks my paperwork and just shrugs. She's within her rights. You shouldn't have touched it. Karen's face twitched in that way people do when reality refuses to cooperate. She muttered about formal complaints, but Owen told me to take pictures, call the insurance, and left her fuming. The next day, I get a letter taped to my mailbox. Cease and desist, $500 a day fine, accusations of an illegal energy transmitting device. All signed President Karen L. Holloway. That was it for me. I called zoning, sent every photo, every message. The guy on the phone actually laughed. You're not the first. Send the whole chain. That night, while combing through my security footage, I caught Karen on camera before sunrise, pacing my property line, flashlight and measuring tape in hand. She wasn't responding to a violation. She was hunting for one. So, I restored the power to the surviving fence sections, still legal, still safe, and sent a nice, thorough email to everyone: zoning, sheriff, utility division, and the HOA. Karen's response: she starts pacing her own driveway, jaw clenched, muttering on the phone about professional removal. The next morning, I hear an engine, her on a red ATV, helmet on, gunning straight for my property line. I ran out yelling, but she just barreled through, shouting about HOA enforcement, until she hit the live wire. There was a spark, a little pop, and a scream that was probably more about pride than pain. Her husband came sprinting, but honestly, I almost felt bad for the guy. As she stomped away, hair wild, I couldn't help myself. Maybe read the safety label next time. She spat back. You haven't seen real authority yet. And I realized, oh, this isn't close to over. The next day, a giant orange safety violation notice was stapled to my fence. Official HOA stationery, Karen's handwriting. Beneath it, another note, all caps. Next time I'll bring the board with me. I spent the morning on the phone. Zoning said I was legal, sheriff added to the report. The HOA legal liaison sounded like she was used to cleaning up Karen's messes. She sent me a grievance form that looked like it was faxed in from the 90s. As I hit send, Karen's voice carried from her porch, ranting about assault, emergency sessions, and the dangers of my fence. The emergency HOA meeting was surreal. Picture a repurposed dentist's office lobby. Me in the back, Karen limping in late, binder under her arm. We have a homeowner endangering the community, she boomed. Someone finally asked, "Didn't we approve solar fences last year?" Karen's eyes darted. "Those were decorative. This one is weaponized." She slapped down a photo of her ATV stuck in my fence. "That's from when you drove into my yard," I said. The treasurer, Margaret, just sighed. "On an ATV? For safety." The room nearly burst out laughing. The board decided to verify permits and police reports before issuing any fines. Karen's face went red. She wasn't used to losing. 2 days later, her husband caught me in the driveway, looking like he wanted to be anywhere but there. "Maybe just turn off the power for a few days," he whispered. "Tell her to stay off my land," I replied. That weekend, I installed more motion lights, upgraded the alerts. Irony, right? Defending my fence from the person who thought she was protecting the neighborhood. And then, the fireworks. Literally. Saturday night, my phone buzzes, I open the camera, and 2 teens are sneaking by with sparklers. Suddenly, there's a burst of smoke. Someone stuffed lit fireworks into the brush. I sprint out, stomping out sparks, when I hear Karen shrieking, recording me. "See, it's catching fire," she yells. "Your kids just lit fireworks on my property." I barked back. She swung her phone at her face. "My neighbors are out of control." For once, I was stone cold. "Karen, you're trespassing, interfering with minors, and it's all on my cameras." For a second, she hesitated, then retreated, phone shaking. The next day, the vice president, David, emailed for my footage. Zoning started an official review into repeated HOA harassment. But Karen had bigger plans. Her husband warned me. She was going to demonstrate the danger to the board. The next day, half the neighborhood showed up, Karen revving her ATV with a safety demonstration, banner, sunglasses on, determination cranked up to 11. David tried to talk her down. She roared forward anyway, but I disconnected the circuit. She hit the fence. Nothing happened. She jumped off, flailing, yelling. It shocked me, but the crowd just stared. Someone whispered. The lights didn't even flicker. David shut her down. She sped off, humiliated. You'd think that'd be the end, right? Nope. By morning, her safety demonstration was all over the HOA's Facebook group. Someone's kid had edited it with dramatic music. The comments were savage. Karen didn't post for days, but I knew the quiet meant she was plotting. Sure enough, Public Works showed up, anonymous complaint about unlicensed installations. They rolled their eyes at Karen's claims, told me to put up a no trespassing sign, and left. Monday, I got a letter from the HOA disciplinary committee. Karen, her husband, and, weirdly, David. David called and admitted Karen had rushed the paperwork, tricked him into signing. They were coming for an inspection. I decided not to fight it, just let her hang herself. Cameras everywhere. When they arrived, I refused entry, citing trespassing. Margaret the treasurer pointed out that Karen was misusing the bylaws. Karen threatened fines, but I stood my ground. As they left, Karen hissed. "You think paperwork protects you? You have no idea who you're dealing with." Things got wild after that. Karen sent an internal memo claiming my fence was hacking HOA emails. Next morning, my internet went dead, email locked out. I caught her on my security cam at midnight, messing with my utility box. Sent it all to the sheriff and the county. Owen called. "We saw the footage. That's criminal tampering." By afternoon, the street was crawling with deputies, Karen's husband pacing out front. She didn't get arrested that day, but she was formally warned. A few days later, a truck dropped off 10 rolls of chain-link fence paid for with HOA funds. Karen had ordered them to replace my smart fence on my land. I kept the receipts, the footage, and called the board. Karen was unraveling fast. Her final act? She called the fire department, claimed my fence was an electrical hazard. Sirens, news vans, a neighborhood evacuation. The fire chief ran tests. Everything was up to code, safer than most. He told Karen not to call again unless there was real smoke. After that, it was a blur. News segments, HOA meetings, the board voting to suspend Karen, neighbors openly siding with me. But Karen just got more desperate, sneaking onto my property at night, leaving notes, sabotaging the fence, even trying to start a fire. I caught it all on camera. The last time, deputies caught her with a gas can mid-act. She was taken in for psychiatric evaluation. The board dissolved the HOA. The neighborhood exhaled. But even with her gone, the aftermath lingered. Mark, her husband, moved away. The new owners painted over the old chaos. Sometimes, I'd find notes or small broken parts from the fence in my mailbox. Little reminders that Karen hadn't let go. Security alerts, a car idling in the driveway. She was moved to outpatient care, then vanished. When she returned, she left one final note. You will understand what it feels like to lose control. I called Owen. We'll keep an eye on it, he said. The weeks dragged on. The last time I saw her, she was standing at the edge of my yard in a bathrobe, barefoot, just watching the fence. Not angry, not vengeful, just lost. After that, she was gone again. They found her by the reservoir, muttering about the fence, whispering to her. She was transferred to long-term care. The HOA was history. The neighborhood finally felt like home again. No more sirens, no more drama, just the hum of a refrigerator and laughter drifting over backyard fences. Mark visited once to say goodbye. Fences don't start wars, I told him. People do. We shook hands, neighbors again. Sometimes I think about Karen, about all the battles we fought over a few feet of boundary line, and I realize it was never about the fence. It was about power, control, fear. If you want a moral, I guess it's this: stand your ground, sure, but don't let the fight become who you are. Sometimes, the only way to win is to let go. So, what do you think? Was I right to fight back, or should I have let Karen win? Drop a comment below, because honestly, in neighborhoods like mine, you never know whose story you're about to become.